The Cybersecurity Agency has launched new tools on safely using emerging technologies for public consultation. One set gives guidance for system owners on securing agentic AI systems, which are able to take independent actions to achieve objectives, while the other is to help organizations prepare for quantum threats. Nicholas Ng with more.
What if you could just ask your computer to arrange an appointment to talk to your boss? Agentic AI could do that by checking your organization's internal systems and figuring out a good time to talk. But what if these agents with access to sensitive information go rogue?
You have humans speaking to agents to talk to other agents to get things done. That's going to create, levels of complexity that we haven't seen before, and with levels of speed attached to that complexity.
From high-level policy discussions to here on the showroom floor, there's perhaps no topic as dominant in discussions as AI, and its newer version, agentic AI. Now, this technology is something that experts are still trying to figure out how to properly protect. But the additional guidelines that the Cybersecurity Agency released today are meant to help people who aren't quite cybersecurity experts understand how to safely deploy agentic AI technology into their organizations.
This document is an addendum to its guidelines and companion guide on securing AI systems to cover the unique risks of agentic AI systems. It is also an invitation to governments, researchers, and industry partners to help shape a global reference for securing agentic AI.
Authorities are also looking at quantum computing. Some estimates say that the first quantum computer able to easily crack encryption technology protecting our digital infrastructure is around a decade away, though it may already be too late.
A malicious party out there could be harvesting our data today, even if it is encrypted, storing it, and then just waiting until the day comes that those powerful quantum computers are available to decrypt that data and gain insights into that information.
To help firms prepare for future quantum threats, the cybersecurity watchdog has released a set of tools to assess the current defenses and plan the transition towards quantum-safe systems.
And for more, we're joined by Jayant Dave, who is a Chief Information Security Officer of Checkpoint Software Technologies. Jay, good to have you with us today.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's start off with why agentic AI fundamentally changes the nature of a cyber threat.
So if you look at agentic AI, will be much more autonomous. In that construct is that we are looking at more from generative AI perspective today, where we as humans still need to interact, provide inputs, and the outputs are there. Now, when you go towards agentic AI journey, you have to give them goals and objective. They are targeted by goals and objective, and they will run towards it. They will change the direction, course corrections, everything is very automated. So in that construct, the landscape is going to dramatically change. We have seen surge of AI-powered attacks in 2025. 2026 will be much more dramatic here for us. So if you look from threat landscape perspective in 2026, like from the bad actors perspective, right? So when the bad actors currently today have to be behind the scenes, they are leveraging AI, sophistication is out there. They can give a command that go and discover zero-day attack. We have been discussing about like UNC 3886, which has been very heavily discussed in this format also. So agentic AIs can be given a goal and objective, go and identify zero-day vulnerabilities out there. That agent can trigger another agent to exploit those vulnerabilities. So it can be highly automated, sophisticated, and the speed will be at very rapid rise. So example, as a human, it will be very difficult for us to defend 24/7 this agent running in the environment there. Yeah. The scale is going to definitely increase.
Yeah, so and these are in reference to external threats, right?
Yeah.
But how about when the AI agents themselves exceed their security boundaries? How will that issue be tackled?
So this is a very interesting, pressing questions out there, and I think there are a couple of frameworks. So means I would suggest if you have to look at AI as in kind of another human coming in your broader organization ecosystems. So example, if you look at, you don't give necessary or more than required access to a human, right? So you have box isolations in place. So similar way, we have to treat these agents. you cannot ask them to move laterally in the environment. It can be disaster. So first thing will be that you have to look at isolation of those agents, do what they are supposed to do. The second fundamental which comes into play is that you don't give them necessary more than required access. Like principle of least privileges, need to know, just-in-time access always will be there. And the third most crucial element will be that how do you govern and monitor what these agents are doing on its own? So there will always be human element coming into play from the governance perspective, from the monitoring perspective, from the guardrails perspective. So those are the three biggest things will happen. If you don't do that, then it can be a disaster.
Yeah, so these are some preemptive steps that you've measured.
Yes.
But how about what kind of guardrails or safety tests can actually be conducted before these agentic AI is actually deployed at scale?
I think Minister Keshav Mugan mentioned about two things, right? I'll just highlight two things here. First thing is that before we deploy these agentic AIs or AI models in the environment, you have to go towards a thoroughly development lifecycle, right? So that means you have to test these models in the same fabric as we are testing our current technologies today, like red teaming. It was heavily discussed that how you're going to do red teaming of the AI models there. We have to test it thoroughly, then move it into production environment, right? In the production environment also, you have to ensure the tech stack is maybe models, logic may not change, but the environment of data dynamics will change every day. So continuous red teaming, continuous assessments of those models will be very crucial. Apart from that, I would always suggest is that if you're dealing with critical infrastructures, these agents should always have that human element in play. Like example, somebody is going to high-risk transactions, $1 million transaction, just for example, it needs to be reviewed and approved by human at the end game there. So I think that's a combination of factors will come into play from production to development environment. I think it's going to be in continuous monitoring life cycle there.
Right.
Yeah.
And taking all of this into consideration, what are some practical steps that businesses who are listening to this, they're concerned, what can they do in order to protect themselves at this point against agentic AI threats?
So the first thing I have seen, if you look at last couple of months, last 2 quarters of recent cyber threat attacks which has happened. So one of the striking area personally I have observed is that the bad actors have become more sophisticated. But if you look at the success of those breaches was not just because of sophistication, fundamentals, poor cyber hygiene practices is still out there. So I was 16 years with a global bank, right? So banks have certain different maturity level. But when you go to energy, manufacturing, different sectors, there are poor cyber hygiene fundamentals. The first thing, fundamentals is very important. If you are going to build agents on top of those poor fundamentals, patching, remediation, it can be not be cheaper, it will be much more expensive. The cost of remediation will dramatically increase. The first thing is fundamentals. Then coming back towards leveraging these AI models, the first thing is that principles of zero trust definitely is very much important. As I mentioned, isolation is the key. The agent should do that job which you are supposed to assign. On top of that, principle of access management is going to come into play. We will see rise of non-human identities, agentic AI's identities. Currently, we have different human identities, access which is there. We will see rise of those identities there. And based on that, principle of least privileges must apply. And overall, at the end of the day, when the bad day happens, so the bad guys will, when they attack, so defenders should go with an assumed breach mindset that models may get compromised, agents will compromise. When that happens, how our playbooks are going to be designed? The current playbooks will not work. It has to evolve. Right, yeah.
Jay, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. I've been speaking with Jayant Dave from Checkpoint Software Technologies.